The next inductee of the Carolina Hurricanes Hall of Fame has been revealed to be Justin Williams. There's really no other guy that it could be. And to join me is Sarah Avampato, and we will be talking about that in this episode of Locked On Hurricanes.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, Caniacs. I'm your host, Jared Ellis, and you're listening to Locked On Hurricanes on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Hurricanes your first listen of this Saturday afternoon, evening, or whenever you're listening. Thank you very much. And I am joined today by a former member of the Locked On family. Well, still is, and that is Canes Country. God, Sarah, you wear so many hats. It's hard to keep track of them at this point. I'm joined by Sarah Avampato. You guys know and love her. She's been on the show a million times.
Howdy.
Howdy. That works. But yeah, you just wear so many hats. It's hard to keep track of them. But most of all, you are a massive Justin Williams fan. And whenever it was announced that he was going to be the fifth inductee into the Carolina Hurricanes Hall of Fame, I was like, oh, there's no other person that I need on the show other than Sarah for this one. Like, perfect. And really, there's no more perfect person to be going in the Hurricanes Hall of Fame now than Justin Williams. Everyone kind of figured, last year the first one was going to be Cam Ward. Everyone kind of figured that. And then going into this one, everyone kind of figured, oh, Cam got in last year. It's going to be Justin this year. That's kind of what everyone thought. And that's exactly what we got. And I think it is perfect. I have no complaints about this whatsoever. Obviously, he is more than deserving. His Hall of Fame game is Monday, January 15th, playing the LA Kings, which, again, is just perfect timing.
Yeah, I think it's a great. It's one of those things where it's like when they announced it, it's like, duh. And this was the obvious choice for him to be the next person. Someone who was, obviously hugely important to the Hurricanes Stanley Cup win, as well as years later coming back, revitalizing the franchise, all that stuff. And to have him do it with, the game against the Kings. I mean, I do have a tab open in my browser of like, so can I get to North Carolina for that game? Like, is it reasonable for me to get out there for that game? There's no other team that you would have wanted to see be the visitor for that honor for him, because even though the Kings roster has mostly changed over since he's been there, it's still, won Stanley Cups there, still has, Anze Kopitar, Drew Doughty there to, wave out across the ice. So just very, very, very proud of our dad.
Yes, very, very proud of him. And, you mentioned, just what all he did for the Hurricanes. He played 449 regular season games with the Hurricanes over 8 seasons, 2 different stints between 04 and 09, and then 2017 to 2020. Then 47 playoff games. Like you said, he helped get the Hurricanes their first and, as of right now, only Stanley Cup. He, of course, scored the empty netter there at the very end in Game 7, and then helped bring them back to relevance in the 2018-2019 season. He invented the storm surge, and he really put them on the path to where they are now, because without the leadership that he brought to the team on the ice, and then, of course, you have Dundon, Waddell, Brind'amour, all of them off ice, this team probably isn't where they are right now. And he was the perfect captain for this team when they needed it. I have the article that the Hurricanes wrote up over here on my other monitor. Like I said, played 449 regular season games with the team, 316 total points, then 26 points over those 47 playoff games. He ranks top 10 in the Hurricanes history in goals, assists, and even strength goals with 84 goals and then 208 even strength points, 38 power play goals, 6 shorthanded goals, 11 shorthanded points, and 21 game-winning goals. And 11 of his 12 playoff goals came at even strength, tied for third most in Hurricanes playoff history. It goes on more. You can obviously continue to read that at your own leisure. But it's totally perfect for this honor. There have been talk, before the Hurricanes Hall of Fame became a thing of, does he get his number retired?
Mhm.
What number does he get retired? Because he wore
Mhm.
2 while he was here. There was the 11 and then the 14. And when they introduced this, like he's perfect for it. And there's no more deserving guy out there, since Cam Ward's already in, and I'm absolutely here for it. And like I said, listing off all his accolades, on the ice, what he did, he also that leadership role,
Mhm.
the intangibles of just what he brought to this team, especially during his second stint.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that whenever he came back, everyone was like, "Oh, well, there's your captain." Like,
And then they didn't do it the first
and then
time.
they didn't do it. Yeah,
It was the Stahl Falk co-captain thing, but that's,
right. Which is still years later feels like how did you? That was the most obvious choice you could have made, and you still managed to mess
mhm,
it up. But yeah, I mean, seeing him be there for the rise of some of these young players, who are the stars of this team now. I wish more teams did this Ring of Honor, Team Hall of Fame kind of stuff, because I feel like the will Justin Williams make it into the Hockey Hall of Fame question is like a whole other
mhm,
podcast, episode. But at least to be honored by this team that was so important for both the start and end of his career, like it's a no brainer to honor him in this way. And I'm really excited to see everyone show up for him, to honor him there. I also know that he's obviously still hanging around. He has some fancy job with the
mhm,
Hurricanes.
yep,
And I think is also I know his kids are involved in youth hockey, the Carolina junior hockey stuff, and he's involved in that. And just seeing how easily he settled back into the community there, and really wanted to make that his home. I think
mhm.
it's great.
Yeah, he still lives here. Like you said, he's, I believe, some sort of assistant to Dom Waddell.
Mhm.
I forget the official title for it, but that's what he does now. And like you said, his kids play youth hockey here. Um, I believe, they do play for the Junior Canes.
Mm.
I know he also does work with the Junior Canes, and we'll talk more about that here in a bit as well. Because right now, we do want to tell you guys about Parkview Advance. As a business owner, you realize there are times when receivables might fall behind, but that doesn't mean you need to fall behind on your vendor payments, payroll, or rent. For more than 25 years, Parkview Advance has helped businesses secure working capital from $5,000 to $1.5 million. Parkview Advance can approve your working capital in as little as 24 hours. It's a much easier process than you might imagine, also. They invite many entrepreneurs that are Locked On NHL fans to learn more by calling them at 203-675-0071 or go to parkviewadvance.com. If you're a business needs working capital, call Parkview Advance today. Parkview Advance, helping businesses with their working capital. Go to parkviewadvance.com today. And also, folks, we do want to tell you guys about Indeed. Whether you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish that you could do the same thing with your business team? If you're building a roster to win the league, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like Indeed Instant Match assessments and virtual interviews. Hate waiting? Indeed's US data shows over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches the job description the moment they sponsor a job. Now, something I love about Indeed is that it makes hiring all in one place so easy. Candidates you invite through Instant Match are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in search, according to US Indeed data. Indeed knows when you're growing your business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why you need Indeed. You only pay for quality applications that match your must have job requirements. Indeed knows that finding people with the right skills makes all the sense or all the difference when you're hiring a team of one. Indeed knows hiring needs to be cost effective when you're running your own business, and Indeed knows when you're doing everything for your company, you can't afford to overspend on hiring. So visit indeed.com/locked on to start hiring now. Just go to indeed.com/locked on. Indeed.com/locked on. Terms and conditions apply. Costs per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Now, like you were saying, Justin Williams is very involved in the community. Now, one thing I do want to talk about here is, a personal Justin Williams story. Back earlier in the year when me and my dad went up to Detroit for the game against Red Wings when the Hurricanes lost that game, and Alex Nedeljkovic got the first star for that game, fitting, for that. But when we were coming back, we ran into Justin Williams and Shane Willis and a lot of the youth hockey players there at the airport. Our flight had gotten canceled, so we were just kind of stuck there, and sitting there, talking to my dad, and he just kind of looks over, and is like, "That looks like Justin Williams." And I kind of look over, we kind of like see the little Hurricanes logo on the back of the hat. I'm like, yeah, it kind of does. And we just kind of go on about our business. And you kind of keep thinking about, like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom because the bathroom was I did have to go, but I went. And then as I was coming back, because I had to walk by there, I'm like, oh, yeah, it is. And, I forget how it was, but, they end up, kind of looking over at us. We gave a wave or whatever. We just let them be.
Yeah.
We let them be. And, eventually, their flight, got called. And Justin and Shane as well, came over and just started talking to us, while they were waiting. Like, we just left them be. And he's so nice. He dropped a couple expletives there that we can't repeat here, but in a fun way too. And he's just an extremely nice person, and a great ambassador for the organization as well. That wasn't my first run-in with him. I had met him at Kane's Corner, right before the pandemic happened. He signed my kind of going to date myself here, but the reserved parking signs for champions or whatever, for obviously the 06 champion. He signed that. I was like, I've had this since it happened. And like I said, dating myself a little bit with that. It's sitting in my closet right now. I just haven't hung it up here at the new place. But he's a great ambassador for the organization, and you have someone like that it's such a good thing, when the Hurricanes are such a community first team, to have someone like that is so beloved by everyone. And another thing I remember, all the seasons he was captain for the Hurricanes, if someone took in a Justin Williams jersey and wanted to see put on, he paid for it. Like, and no one else has done that. Before or after, to the best of my knowledge, for the Hurricanes, no one else has ever done that.
He's just, and I feel like, there's always the faction of hockey people who are like, hockey where it doesn't belong, you know, and you know, to have a guy like Justin Williams, who I know is basically like beloved by every team he has played on, you know, classic small town Canada boy, to really like adopt this as his home and be so involved and not, you know, take the first opportunity to be like, I'm going to go back to Toronto, or you know,
go live in LA.
I mean, I wouldn't have complained if he came back to LA, but you know, like he clearly, you know, loves the places he's played for and loves staying in that area. And yeah, I mean, he's just a guy, like he's just a regular guy who, you know, has done so much like for the team, for the franchise, you know, just in growing the sport in that region. You know, I know he does like hockey camps and stuff back in Canada for kids too, but like, I just think it's so great to see in, you know, the non-traditional hockey market, to see someone be like, no, I'm staying here. I am investing in this place. I've made this where I want to be. And we're going to continue to try to grow and better this team. And, you know, heck with everyone who is like, pack the team up and move it to Ottawa Part 3. Like,
yeah, he's very much like Rod Brind'amour, you know, another guy who also came from the Flyers, and then you just made this his home. And you know, Rod is, you know, he is the quintessential Carolina Hurricane. He's been here for, you know, whether it be player, you know, front office, scout, coach, now head coach. He's been here for over 20 years, going on 24 years now. So, you know, like he is Hurricanes, but you know, Justin Williams, he's up there as well in terms of just guys you think about with the Hurricanes. And, you know, a lot of it, you know, comes from this second stint that he had with the team and just how much work he put into the team to get them to be where they are right now. And, you know, like we said, you know, he is an extremely deserving player to be given this honor. And, you know, like we mentioned earlier, he does have that front office assistant to Don Waddell weird sort of role now. It really wouldn't surprise me if you see him down there with Rod Brind'amour and Tim Gleason at some point, should that be what he wants. I do feel that that's a thing of, if they have room for him and he wants it, it's his. I think that's kind of where that role is, but you know, we'll see what happens. But it's another thing. It wouldn't shock me if he ends up being an assistant coach for the Hurricanes in the coming seasons. And one thing I would absolutely love to see with the renovations that are coming to PNC Arena, for them to, I don't know where exactly they would do it, but you know, as sort of like actual like physical Hall of Fame thing for the Hurricanes. You know, giving you don't have many inductees right now. You have the guys with their jerseys retired: Ron Francis, Glenn Wesley, Rod Brind'amour, then now Cam Ward and Justin Williams, with Williams obviously being the newest and fifth member. I would love to see something like that, whether it's, you know, just, you know, some pictures, some memorabilia, stuff like that. Yeah, I would love for them to do that. I don't know where it would go. I really don't. I haven't really seen much in the way of plans and whatnot for this. You know, obviously, if anyone's getting a statue out front, it is Rod Brind'amour, and he would hate it.
He would be so mad. That would be really good. But yeah, like I know, like Toronto has like their like Ring of Honor or whatever, and they have like a whole row of like statues kind of outside. Like there's a whole area where you can, you know, see all the guys. Yeah, it'd be really cool to see if they work in something, even if it's just a section of the hallway that's dedicated to them, or like a, you know, here's the, you know, the beer stand. Also, here's a cool sign. Like
because I know at Greensboro Coliseum, that's where the ACC Hall of Fame is. It's, I believe, a little bit separate, but they also have stuff in like the Coliseum itself with memorabilia. That'd be cool if they did something like that. At least, you know, to kind of started out, because you only got 5 guys right now. Maybe in a few
Right.
years, you actually do something where you have
Mm-hmm.
more guys in there. But it's something I would love to see. Now, one thing I don't, more about this than I do, but as far as an LA Kings Hall of Fame, obviously I know they do number retirements, of
Mm-hmm.
course, but do they have a Ring of Honor or Hall of Fame thing? And would Williams get in it for them?
Yeah, like they don't really have like they were doing, especially around like the team's anniversary, they were honoring like players from the past, but I don't think it's not really like a Ring of Honor thing. It was more just like say hi to this guy who played in whatever. Um
Hmm.
so I don't think that they have anything like formal,
Hmm.
but I think that especially as years go by and we get further distanced from the 2012 2014 cup runs and those guys kind of start retiring. um you can't retire everyone's number, right? Like
Yeah.
like that's the problem that most hockey teams end up running into is like balancing the we want to honor this guy, but if we start retiring the number of everybody who was important, like everyone's going to be wearing number like 87, like because they're going to
Hmm.
run out of numbers. So I think that there are enough players, both like historically and in the kind of recent past, that it would make sense to do something like that. And if they did, I think that he would be like, again, maybe not the first lock for it,
Hmm. I
but
kind of feel like that'd be Jonathan Quick.
yeah, quick, like, Kopitar, Doughty when they're
Hmm.
done. I mean, those guys will get their numbers retired, but
Yes.
but like in that group of guys, like every Kings fans still love him. Like
Hmm.
you tweet about him and people get excited about it, and he hasn't played for that team for years and years. I think people would be very excited to honor him um, in LA for his contributions to those 2 cup winning teams. Like I don't know that they win it just without, it's probably a hot take, but like do they win the cup without Justin Williams? Like either
Hmm.
like I don't know, because he was so instrumental in that locker room and kind of getting them, everyone talks about how like good of a locker room guy is and how good his character is and all that. And I think that was
Hmm.
really true for helping an LA team that was kind of like, we don't know what we're doing here. And
Hmm.
he was there to be that guy for them. So I think that
Yeah.
they absolutely, if they choose to do something like that, like he should absolutely be on like, the second induction.
Yeah, it's very much the same with the Hurricanes as well. Like you said, locker room guy, kind of took over, a team that didn't necessarily know what the
Mhm.
heck they were doing. You know, did that with the Hurricanes. He became captain. They literally had it here in the article.
Mhm.
Um, he was later named the 8th different captain in Hurricanes history on September 13th, 2018. And in the following season, he led Carolina to its first Stanley Cup playoff berth in 10 years. So yeah, very much like they're in LA. He's a
Mhm.
great locker room guy. That's something that you hear about, from every single person, that
Yeah.
played with him over any of the teams he was with, Philly,
Yeah.
Carolina, LA, or Washington.
Mhm.
All of those teams, I'll say he's a great locker room guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the intangibles there. And again, the way he,
Mhm.
interacts with the fans and the community, he doesn't act too big for his britches or whatnot. I've dealt with that, after practices, after games when guys
Mhm.
are just like, screw this,
Right. And you're
I'm
like,
above
"Really?"
this.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have a guy like Justin Williams, Jordan Stahl is another one that is, and Jacob Slavin.
Mhm.
Those are guys that are great
Yeah.
ambassadors
Yeah.
for your organization, that take the time,
Yeah.
to talk to people. I've talked about Williams earlier. Just how he took the time to just talk to me and my
Mhm.
dad.
Yeah.
At the airport, did not have to. Could have given a
Yeah.
wave and went on about his business. No, he and Shane both came over
Yeah.
and had conversations with us.
Yeah.
And then Stahl and Slavin, same thing.
Mhm.
These are guys that you run into them. If they really ain't got nothing going on, they're probably going to stay and talk to you for a
Right.
while.
Right.
And a lot of guys on the Hurricanes are like that.
Yeah.
And I think yes, obviously Stahl's been around for a very long time, but I feel like Justin Williams, he really, drilled it into, some of
Mhm.
these younger guys when he was captain of
Yeah.
the guys that are the faces of the franchise now
Mhm.
that, hey, this is something you need to do.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. Don't let your ego get the best of you.
Mhm.
When it comes to this stuff, like take time to talk to these guys.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you see that kid over there, just wave at the kid.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, and that's gonna make, like, a 9-year-old's day to
uh-huh.
be like,
Yeah,
"So and so," like, that kid's gonna talk about it forever. Like, "Remember that time
yeah,
that I was, at the grocery store?" And,
yeah. But yeah, that's the thing. And obviously, I know there have been guys, over
Yeah.
the past, well, now 26 years, for the Hurricanes being here. There's guys that always talk, but it really feels like
Yeah.
Justin Williams really, when he took over, like really like
Yeah.
made it a thing of like,
Yeah.
hey, be a good ambassador for the
Right.
organization. And
Right.
I think that is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, obviously, Williams, his game is on January 15th, where he gets inducted. But one thing I do want to talk about with you is who do we think is next for next
Ooh.
year that could be going into the Hurricanes Hall of Fame? And we will be talking about that right after this quick break, folks. Now, folks, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And this is something that I really, really endorse, guys. I love BetterHelp. I have used this before myself. And BetterHelp is, again, online therapy, and it's done right, folks. And now, I again have used BetterHelp before in the past, and it really helped me. And this time of the year can be a lot for people. It's that seasonal depression stuff rolling around, and it's natural to feel some sadness or anxiety about it. But adding something new and positive to your life can counteract some of those feelings. Therapy can be a bright spot amid all of the stress and change, and something to look forward to make you feel grounded and give you the tools to manage everything going on. Again, I've talked about it before. I have personally used BetterHelp in the past, and it helped me out a lot. And it just something, help get that stuff off your chest, help unload the stuff, not constantly bottle it up. And it really helps you be the best version of yourself. And it isn't just for those who have experienced major trauma or anything like that. It can be for anyone, no matter what you're going through. BetterHelp is here for you, and they're here to help you out and make you the best version of yourself. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. When I was when I used BetterHelp, there were many times when something would come up at work and I couldn't make a session and I had to reschedule. And it's super, super easy to do. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist. And it's easy to switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. I had to do that as well. And there's nothing wrong with it. You get matched to that new one really quick as well. So find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/locked on NHL today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/locked on NHL, folks. Go try it out, folks. Out of everything we've done in the past, BetterHelp is probably my favorite thing we've ever done here. And because I know how much it helped me, and I want it to help you as well. Now, getting back into the Carolina Hurricanes Hall of Fame. As we mentioned earlier, you have 5 guys in there now. Not the restaurant. But
Burger.
but you have Ron Francis, Glenn Wesley, Rod Brind'amour, Cam Ward, and now Justin Williams. Question is, who's next? Now, the Hurricanes do have, a thing on the article with, Williams, induction says, quote, eligible players for the Hurricanes Hall of Fame include skaters who have played at least 250 games with the team, goaltenders who have played at least 100 games with the team, and any skaters or goaltenders who have won the Stanley Cup or major or other major NHL awards during their tenure with the team. Players must demonstrate exceptional attributes in the areas of playing ability, sportsmanship, character, and contributions to the Hurricanes, and they must not have played in a professional or international game during the season prior to their election. Now, and then it goes more on like the nomination and voting process, but we don't need to get into that. So you look at that, there's not, with the Williams Award off the board now, not really a whole lot out there now. The big, because Jeff Skinner, he'll go in.
Yeah.
Like, he was here for a very long time. He won the Calder. Like, he'll probably get in,
Yeah.
when he's old and gray. It's not really a whole lot of guys out there, because Justin Falk is still playing. Skinner again is still playing. There's not really a whole lot out there. Really, the next guy, if he doesn't sign with anyone midway through the season, I could see Eric Stahl.
Yeah.
That's really about it.
Yeah.
Because you look at your goal. Yes, you have Arturas Urbe. You have him if you're looking at a goalie. I could see him, getting in. I don't think Kevin Weeks hit the minimum games played for the Hurricanes goalies. But yeah, you have him, and then you have some other early guys. But Eric Stahl feels like the front runner for next season if he doesn't sign anywhere, because he hasn't officially retired. He's obviously been playing for over 20 years now, so kind of feel like he probably will. Kind of the same with Phil Kessel. No one's signed him yet. Kind of feel like might just be it there for him. And frankly, with Stahl, is something that had been talked about before of, is he a guy that gets his number retired? Rather than, this was, conversations before the Hall of Fame. He's a lock for Hurricanes Hall of Fame. The real question is, does his number 12 go up in the rafters?
Right.
And because you look at, God, he played over 700 games for the Canes. He still holds a lot of franchise records in terms of points. I believe he's had the only 100-point season, for a Hurricane ever. Because I want to say with Francis, they were still the Whalers at the time. And so I could see he'll definitely get into Hall of Fame, but does his 12 go up?
Right.
I don't know. I kind of feel like his brother kind of has earned it more than him.
Right.
But in terms of numbers and all that, I could see them putting the number 12 up there. I do feel the 11 would be the proper one to go up in the rafters. But that is just me. He also got the Hurricanes a Stanley Cup as well. So I do feel that is, and also, when it comes to just the Stahl name, like there's been a Stahl on this team since the early 2000s. Whether it be Eric, whether it be both of them, whether it be Eric, Jordan, and Jared for that really, really brief time, there's always been at least one Stahl on the Hurricanes. And so it does feel right that there would be someone up there in the rafters. I, again, feel like Jordan, kind of the more Hurricane than Eric. It feels like he never gave up on the team when he very easily could have. When Eric was just like, his number was going down, he just wanted out, and he got out. Yes, he played in 2 more Stanley Cup finals.
It's fine.
And he made multiple more All-Star games. It wasn't like his career just tanked. Yeah, he bounced around, but you look at an old guy, that tends to happen. But I do feel he's a lock for the Hurricanes Hall of Fame, probably next year if he doesn't sign anywhere. He obviously also won hockey Triple Crown and all that. So he's honestly probably a hockey Hall of Famer at some point. If he gets in before Rod, we got a problem. But
that's like the Hockey Hall of Fame is going to get like stormed by people from Carolina, like wanting to fight about that. Like,
shoot, and Philly at that point.
Yeah.
He spent what 9-10 years there. Not St. Louis. He only spent like 2 years there, but but yeah, it's one of those. Eric, he'll probably be the next guy if no one else plays. Or if no one signs him, he's really it that sticks out in my mind. God, I'm trying to think. I mean, Eric Cole may be another guy. I think the real thing is just kind of looking to see if these guys would be eligible,
right?
And it's gonna be fun for sure to see who is the next guy. Again, I think it's gonna be Eric. Whether or not the 12 goes up in the rafters with it, we'll just have to wait and see. I think one thing with the arena renovations is that NC State needs to take down some of the banners. I love NC State, but they got way too many. They hang a banner for everything. They are the Nashville Predators of the ACC, and I love them so much. But take some banners down. Like the Hurricanes, they've condensed their division championship banners into one. I'm like, I get it. You want to make room for more because you are going to be hanging more, but Jesus
also,
Christ, NC State, take some stuff down, condense some stuff. Or one thing I have been adamant about this since I saw it when I went up to Detroit, they had these things where they like raise and lower the banners. I would love if they do that where they're like, all right, State's playing, they pull the Hurricanes ones up and put the State ones down, and then vice versa. I would love if they do something like that.
That way neither team has to be like, oh, we got to hide our stuff, but like, come on, like
exactly,
learn to share.
Exactly, learn to share. You don't have to retire every single number, or
or do you?
Or how about this? Every time you make it to the Sweet 16, you have that on a banner. Your Elite 8 is a banner. Your national championship ones, those could be separate. Those could be separate. The national championship ones, those can be separate. Sure. And that's totally fine. But like all the tournament ones and all that stuff, those can be condensed. But State has way too many. But that's a conversation for another time. You can go listen to Locked On Wolfpack for more on that one. But I think Stahl, he's the next one. After that, I think the field starts to get a bit thin. Again, you can go back to the very early days, kind of when they're in Greensboro and early days of Raleigh. Again, I think Urbe, he would be a good fit here. If he's eligible, Kevin Weeks, I know he was on that Stanley Cup team in 01 or 02, 01, I believe it was, when they lost to Detroit in the Stanley Cup final. I think he could potentially go there. I know folks still really like him. He's still a guy that is well liked, and that could be one there. And really a lot of the alumni in the area, like Eric Cole. I think he would be a guy that you could see should he be eligible. Tim Gleason, if he's eligible, I think he would be another guy that could potentially go in there. Because just from those like dark days, you went from your early 2000s where you had a decent amount of guys,
like
Jeff Skinner, Eric Stahl, Justin Falk. That's pretty much it. Scam is already in. That's it.
Kevin Weeks played 119 games.
So
Hurricanes. So
okay,
so goalies are tough because it was like Cam Ward was just the
He
guy.
was the franchise
So long.
goalie.
I think like Kevin Weeks, like obviously he doesn't make the criteria unless they change it for goalies. But I think
No,
if
he does.
just he does okay. Like even if he doesn't make it, he just show up, be like Kevin Weeks here from the like all his little
Mhm.
Twitter things. He just show up and do a video. Just
Mhm.
show up.
Yeah. Yeah, goalies,
Cute.
they had to play at least 100 games.
Oh, but he's good.
And then skaters is
Okay.
250.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kevin Weeks maybe. But yeah, Urbe for sure. He'd be the next
Yeah.
goalie. Because Scott Darling ain't getting in. Eddie Lack ain't getting in. Kudobin ain't getting in.
No.
Yeah, none of those guys are getting in. Whenever he hangs up, I could see Peter Mrazek
Yeah.
getting in the Hurricanes Hall of Fame.
Right.
Because I definitely think he meets the criteria there. You know, you look at just his tenure with the Hurricanes,
Yeah.
not before, not after.
Right.
Then okay, sure. He had one of the all-time best sound bites of when they got into the playoffs. We're in.
Uh-huh.
You got that.
Yeah.
And he was really good for the Hurricanes. He definitely benefited from the team in front of him,
Right.
especially after he left. But I could see that maybe. Um, and if they were to win a Stanley Cup within the next couple
Yeah.
of years, I could see Freddie Anderson,
Yeah.
getting in. And like I said, that's if they win a Stanley Cup. Yeah, because you look at what he's done out there on the ice. They
Yeah.
won a Jennings Trophy. He was that close to being a Vezina
Mhm.
finalist had he not gotten hurt.
Yeah.
And he's brick wall in the playoffs
Yeah.
when he has been there. So if he's able to win a Stanley Cup with the team, I think he's in.
Mhm.
It'd be cool if they put the picture of when they drafted him all those years ago up there when when he didn't sign with them,
Yeah.
and then got drafted again a few years ago or a few years later by Anaheim.
We'll
That
see.
would be funny
Yeah.
if they put that one
funny.
up there. But yeah, I could see him. A lot of guys on the current roster.
Yeah.
I think that's when you're looking at like
Yeah.
another 10, 15 years
Right.
from
Before
now.
you can. Yeah.
Before you like really, stall probably,
Mhm.
basically as soon as he's eligible, his 11's
Right. Oh
going
yeah.
up.
Yeah. He's
Um,
immediate.
and Jacob Slavin, he'll go.
Yeah.
Ahos, Fetch,
Yeah.
Teravainen, did I say Slavin? Because he
Yeah.
goes. A lot of your current roster.
Yeah.
If Kotkaniemi pays out over
Mhm.
the course of his deal, he could be
Mhm.
a guy, because he's developing nicely. I
Right.
could see that.
Yeah.
Same with Natchez, same with Jarvis. If these guys continue to develop well, I could see them getting in, kind of like
Yeah.
the new wave of talent and
Yeah.
whatnot. But yeah, they Brett Pesce as well,
Mhm.
another guy that's been here forever. He's obviously not playing right now. Does he get traded? I don't know. We'll see. But it's going to be really, really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Again, that game on January 15th is going to be awesome.
Mhm.
The fact that the two teams that Williams is known for the most there is going to be there when he's getting honored. Just like when Jordan Stahl played in his
Mhm.
1000th game, how they're playing Detroit,
Yeah.
because his brother Mark played for
Yeah.
Detroit at the time, and he was able to share that moment with his
Yeah.
brother. And then like I mentioned earlier, when you had 3 stalls on the team,
Right.
Eric, Jordan, and Jared, tends to get forgotten about because he was hurt at the time, but
Yeah.
Mark was playing for the Rangers, who
Yeah.
they were playing at that game. So you had all 4 of them there at the same time, and that's pretty stinking cool.
Yeah. No, that's really neat.
So, a stall will be in there at some point, but I think Eric's the next guy.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a pretty. He's the obvious choice if you don't want to.
If he doesn't
Like,
sign anywhere.
correct, which feels like.
At this point, I don't think so. There's
Yeah.
obviously been no word on it at all,
Right.
but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But I think he's the next guy, but let's enjoy Justin Williams
Yeah.
getting in. Let us know your favorite Justin Williams stories. I obviously gave you a couple of mine. My favorite Justin Williams stories from over the years. Let me know yours down in the comments below on YouTube or over on social media at LO_Hurricanes. My personal at Jared Ellis _96. And of course, you guys know all about Sarah. She's been on the show a million times. She's everywhere, whether you're a Kings fan, a Canes fan, a Chicago Wolves fan, whatever. She's got you covered. So make sure you're following her at Right Said Sarah. She obviously has now beaten me in our goal to who can watch the most movies this year. So make sure you're looking out for that as well. You know, some of our favorite movies of the year as well, for other content as well.
All sorts of stuff.
So yes, all sorts of stuff. Thank you for coming on, Sarah. It's a pleasure to talk to you as always. And as always, folks, let's go Canes. And this season, let's cause chaos.